Hello everyone, welcome to NLG Level 1 English class. We apologize for the technical issue that we experienced just now. Really apologize for that. And so today is day 1 of Level 1, everyone. So just do a bit of a sound check. All right, so I think that everyone can hear me nice and clear. That is great. All right, so if this is your first time taking an NLG class, then welcome. And if you already completed level 1 before and you're here to revise, you're here to just tune into the content, then that is also really great. Now, for those of you who are in level 2, 3, 4, and 5, you know that when you come to revise, let's say level 1 content, please just tuned into the content and don't receive the energy activation, because this class is exclusively, in terms of the energy activation, is exclusively for level 1 participant. And of course, who are still new to NLG, and if this is your first class, if you're a beginner coming into NLG, then that is great. All right, so our class will of course be around 45 minutes late, and I really am sorry for that, for the technical issues. But we're here now, and we're going to dive into today's content. And of course, if you like to get yourself, posted with announcements, with class events and things like that, please follow our Facebook page and YouTube channel, NLG Energy University. And of course, later on, I will share with you the QR code to the level 1 and 2 English groups and channel, so that you can, that is the space where you can ask questions. We'll post the formulas on there as well. So, of course, just before we start, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Isabella, and I will be your instructor for today's class. So I am, I usually teach level 1 and 2 in English, and I am Vietnamese, and I just, I used to live in Australia for quite a while, so that explains the accents and all. So I actually started with NLG at the end of 2021. And all the way up until now, I'm very lucky to have the opportunity to participate in level 5 recently. So I am now a level 5 participant. And of course, together with that, I'm volunteer for NLG. And I am now an instructor, as approved by Mr. Lay. So just some basic information of what NLG is. So NLG is a practical method that is a practice-based method, and the purpose of it is that it helps to benefit everyone in many aspects. For example, with our health, and as you participate through our NLG classes, you may feel differences in your health and in your health progress. And of course, other than that, NLG also supports us in many different fields in life. So currently, NLG has a total of 5 class levels as of now, from level 1 all the way to level 5. And in order to proceed to the next class, of course, you need to complete the previous class level. So for example, if you look to participate in level 2, then you must complete so for example, if you want to participate in level 2, then you must complete level 1, and level 1 consists of 2 sessions, and then level 2 consists of 1 session. And then as you get to a high class level, the number of sessions will increase. For example, level 3 consists of 3 sessions, level 4 consists of 5 sessions, and then level 5, which is currently the highest level, consists of 15 sessions. So generally with level 1 and 2, as you already know, will be completed online, much like what we're doing now. So we're doing a live stream broadcasted on YouTube and Facebook. And then level 3, 4, and 5 are generally completed in person, but we also know that recently we have a level 3 online class. But then with level 4 and 5, those are strictly completed in person. Okay, so that's just some basic information of energy classes, just so everyone is aware. And of course, when we have an online class or whether it is an in-person class, we will certainly specify that in our post. And children as young as 8 years old to 12 years old, they can also participate in NLG. They can be an NLG participant, and of course with parental supervision. So that means, and as Mr. Lay have emphasized, the importance of when both parents needs to be NLG participants so that they can supervise their child on how they practice, how they understand this method. And it's really, really important to do that rather than letting the child navigate the method by themselves. Just so they understand where they come in, they understand exactly what energy is about, how to utilize this energy source, and to build that interest as they go. So other than these 5 class levels, of course, there's 3 other very special programs for you to join later on down the line if you're interested. So the first one is when you apply energy into agriculture, forestry, and fishery. And this, of course, will benefit a lot of people, including farmers in particular. And then number 2 is applying energy to assist couples to have intelligent, healthy babies, even with infertility concerns. So both of these program requires participant to complete level 3 or above. So if you're in level 1 and level 2, then and if you're interested in the programs that I just talked about, then of course you have to proceed to level 3 in order, and that is the minimum in order for you to participate in the programs that I talked about just now. And then of course, the third program that we have here is the instructor training program, which will be selected and advised by Mr. Lay himself. And for this particular program, then you have to complete level 4 or above. So NLG, of course, as I said, is a practice-based method. It means that you have to practice it every day. And it's all about that quality and consistency. It can be very beneficial for your health, as you've probably heard from other NLG participants or even the person who introduced this method to you, your friends, your family. However, NLG is not an alternative treatment of any sort, and it should not replace your current medical treatment. Now, if you have an illness, if you have a condition, you should continue with your treatment plan as consulted by your doctors. And you can practice NLG alongside as a separate method, as an additional thing that you can do. But it certainly doesn't replace the treatment that you're having. Now, down the line, when you practice NLG, if you are using a treatment plan, a medical treatment plan, then it's important that if you feel any difference after you practice NLG or any improvement, then you can inform your doctors so that they know and they can adjust if needed the most appropriate treatment plan for you. And of course, please do not change your treatment plan by yourself. Always consult with your doctor, and just note that NLG is not an alternative treatment. Also, NLG is not political or religious, so be mindful of that when you share information about NLG with others, and even in your understanding of NLG. We'll certainly touch on many really interesting topics, but just keep in mind that NLG is not political and it's not religious either. All right, so when participant coming into level 1 and 2, even at these very foundation levels, the majority of people actually experience various degree of health improvement. And as you get to higher classes, then Mr. Lay will share with you more about other projects, other topics, and it will give really interesting examples so that you can, build your understanding as well as your practice of NLG. So talking about Mr. Lay, he is the founder of NLG. He was born in Binh Hoa province of Vietnam, which is now Dong Noi province of Vietnam. And at the age of 22, he moved to the United States with his family. And then he got a great opportunity to learn from a very, very special master who taught him about NLG. Now, he will share with you more about that when you participate in level 3. And after he learned about this method and he applied it to himself and see really amazing improvements, then that's when he decided, and of course he's tasked with the mission as well to share this with other people. So at the start of 2020, he went to Vietnam, and together with NLG volunteers, they put out many, many classes. And then in 2021, he returned to America and he continued to arrange many more classes online and offline, not just in the US, but of course in other countries as well. And even though he's been teaching this method and sharing a lot of useful information to people, he wishes that no one would address him as teacher or master. He simply and generally just go by the term Mr. Lay, or in Vietnamese, what we often call him is uncle. So he said that it's a term that he prefer a lot more, because then there's that friendliness and that closeness. It's just like a relative, just like a family member, and he prefer that rather than people addressing him as master or teacher, because he often doesn't think of himself that way. So now I'll start to share with you the screen, because I have some class recommendation that I'd like to point your attention to. And I'll just read them out very quickly, and we just go through this once. So these are some of the class recommendations. The first one, please arrange to attend the course on time to receive the activation fully. Being on time also shows respect for the instructor and everyone in the class. Also, it will help avoid network congestion when too many people decide to join at the same time. Now, for this particular one, of course, I have to, for the third time, I feel the need to say sorry for everyone for the technical issue that we experienced today. And as we talk about really interesting topics later on, you will know that again, it's all about that self-regulation and that +1 -1, which, well, I'm kind of giving it away now, but you'll understand a lot more about that as we as we continue to discuss about the topic of love and composure and morality, which is the core of NLG when you come into this method. So second, choose your study space. Please set up your study space in a quiet place away from distraction during the activation and practice session. 3, copyright NLG content without our permission is prohibited. Please do not record or distribute our video lecture online without our consent. All online courses will be recorded for tracking purposes on our NLG platform. 4, you can attend our course via phone, laptop, iPad, etc. Ensure you check your device before attending our online classes, for example, in terms of internet connection, battery, audio, etc. Number 5, we'll have time for participants to ask questions about the course, formula, and practice recommendations. So please save your question until the end of the session. Now, if a lot of the time when we run out of time at the end of this session, what we do is that we give you the QR code to our Telegram groups. So then you can actually ask questions by those groups as well. Now, these are really important nodes. So the original energy source, NLG, năng lượng gốc, that is the initial in Vietnamese. That's what NLG means. It's mean năng lượng gốc, which is in English, that will be the original energy source. Method is provided by the NLG Energy Universe. NLG Energy Source University to support anyone seeking assistance from NLG. NLG online courses are completely free. For example, you know that with level 1 and 2, they're completely free. You don't need to pay any fee as of the current moment. And then level 3, when we do it online, it's free as well. You just need to contribute $25 for the certificate if you need it, okay, in order to proceed to a high class level. But if you're happy with just level 3, then you don't need that certificate. If you don't wish to go any further than level 3, then you don't need to purchase it. NLG techniques and informations for educational purposes only and cannot be substituted for the advice or care of a medical professional. It does not replace doctors' diagnoses and medical treatment. We recommend that participants consult a doctor before undertaking alternative health improvement methods. We will not accept any liability or warranty, will not be responsible to any individual if you do not see any improvements. NLG participants are responsible for their current state of health and will need to monitor their progress. NLG participants need to have self-awareness and follow the instructions and formulas to achieve desired outcomes. Okay. And NLG is not a religion, neither it is a meeting ground for ritual activities. NLG does not advise participants to give up or join any religion or political party. NLG Energy University does not participate in any religion or political institution of any country. So those are some of the class recommendations that I'd like to inform everyone about. So now let's dive into the actual content, okay? All right, so first of all, we'll talk about the logos of NLG so that you know exactly what they mean, because they contain really meaningful aspects to this method. All right, so I hope that you can see it nice and clear. So here we can see that we have 3 logos. NLG has 3 logos, and the first one, which is the one on the left-hand side here, is the Cosmic Divine Light logo, and then in the middle we have the Energy University logo, and then on the right-hand side we have the Loving Home logo. So these 3 logos in this sequence were introduced to us in April 23rd of 2023. And on that day, Mr. Lei actually shared with us about, and he will share with you when we get to level 3, the journey of him unlocking these patterns, these codes, so that we can eventually harness the energy source within. And if you have been with NLG for a while, or if you have heard about it, and then you look back into previous classes, previous teaching materials, etc., you realize that this Cosmic Divine Light logo on the left-hand side here, when we first started, looks a little bit different, particularly at the center of that. Now, as of now, this logo, the center of it, is now a perfect white circle, and it represents the cosmic light that embraces all being. So Mr. Lei will walk you through the stages of this Cosmic Divine Light pattern or logo, so that you understand more about it in level 3. But right now, all you need to know is that this is the latest version of the Cosmic Divine Light logo. And so just some very, very basic information is that the first version of it was called Chom Dong, and Chom Dong is Vietnamese. And if you do a literal translation, that means bronze drum in English. So that is a concept that probably, if you've been following NLG, for a while, or if you look at previous teaching material, you'll know that that's something that we've been talking about a lot. We've mentioned a lot. And so when it was bronze drum, in the middle here, there's actually 14 arrows and it looks like a big sun. And then Mr. Lay, as he gradually decoded this pattern, then the circle here, well, not the circle, the center of this pattern then changes. So as of now, this is the latest version. And within this, and even though it looks really simple, but it contains very meaningful codes for us to understand. And from there are great lessons, and of course the energy source that we can neuralize to put into practice, to build that wisdom. Okay, that wisdom is what we mean in terms of the energy university. That's where the wisdom, that's where the knowledge lies. That's where it becomes more visible from theory to practice, and there's really no limit to the energy of the cosmic divine light, which is why it allows us to do all sorts of incredible things, a lot of great ideas, enabled through what we simply call wisdom and knowledge at the energy university. And from there, when we can become healthier, we have this energy and we have wisdom, then the things that we do, we can then benefit, and not just benefit a loving home, but to maintain a loving home. And as we get to level 3, of course, Mr. Lay will go deeper into the meaning of a loving home and why is it that is so necessary in our life. Now, this loving home logo portraits a family with parents and children. All of them have a very special connection with one another. That is genuine love and the bond that is very sacred. And there's 13 heartbeats, as you can see, representing 12 months in a year. And then the 13th heartbeat indicates humanity's energy connection to what we call the outer space civilization. So the term, actually, I'll just walk you through this one first. So going into level 1 and 2, we would talk a lot about, of course, introduction or basic information of NLG, the benefits of NLG. We'll have the activation and practice of formulas. We'll go through and discuss the formulas so that you understand exactly how to use them. We'll talk about energy development, and of course, when it comes particularly when it comes to receiving this energy. So we will talk about, and I actually mentioned the term earlier, when we talk about the outer space civilization or the cosmic divine light, the benefits that it can bring is actually beyond what we can imagine. Things that perhaps we didn't even think that was possible before, and is actually necessary to learn, to explore, to solve the problem that we're now dealing with. And when we start at this foundation level, there are generally 2 questions that people often ask. So the first one is that how can we make sense of the term or of what the outer space civilization means? What is it? And then number 2, it's where does this energy source comes from? So because we are at beginner level, I will share with you a very simple explanation, just so that it doesn't overwhelm you, and you can actually focus on exploring it bit by bit. So the outer space civilization, just visualize that it comes from, say, a country or a place that is very advanced, that is far away from us, where the beings who live there, who exist there, they do so in very sophisticated way, and they have very sophisticated form of wisdom, technology, science, virtues, etc. And overall, they're just more advanced. But the great thing is that they're willing to support us in how we develop as a species, as a planet. And so this energy source has existed for a very long time. And it has been here with us. We've been applying it in our life. But the point is, which frequency of this energy that we're able to use, or that we've been using. So of course, when it comes to energy, and when we talk about this energy source, it has different levels, different frequency. And you can think about it, if you try to visualize it, is that you can think about a school system. Okay, so at school, of course, you have the kindergarten level, you got the primary school level, high school level, university, etc. So just visualize it that way in terms of energy, that they do have different frequencies, they do have different levels that we can utilize, and which frequency that we can approach. Then that is a huge privilege and a huge honor that we can harness that energy to do better things. So here, NOG, now that we know a little bit about the logo and what that means. So the mission of NOG is to tackle these 3 issues for humanity. I guess when we talk about these 3 problems, which are wars and conflict, poverty and hunger, illnesses and diseases, I guess we've been trying in many different ways. Of course, people have really incredible invention and creation and try to tackle with these issues. But I guess looking around us, all the way up until now, we know that we still have a lot to deal with. And perhaps you may think that these issues have very little to do with you, because you're in a space where you're lucky enough not to have to deal with all of this, or maybe you're just dealing with one. But taking a step back to look at the world, we know that, of course, around the world, there are a lot of people still suffer from these issues. And if you look into the more personal aspects of these, then, for example, with illnesses and diseases, this is something that perhaps, I guess, unfortunately, but the majority of us are dealing with some sort of conditions, one way or another, and with different levels of severity. And if you're not dealing with it, then perhaps someone who are dealing with it, perhaps say someone that say your friends, or someone in your family, and someone who who you relate to. And so, of course, when you look at it that way, we're not free from this particular issue. And when we talk about wars and conflict, we can also look at it, despite the things that we've already know about what's happening right now, but from a more personal perspective, it's also the conflicts that happen between you and the people around you. So, for example, in your family, and with your colleagues, with the people that you relate to. So those are some of the things that, of course, all of us are still experiencing. And a lot of the time it is very depressing, it's very tiring. And but then we can't really find a way out, or at least we don't necessarily have a way to improve ourselves, to work on self-development in a way that can eliminate the possibilities of this conflict. And then when it comes to poverty and hunger, from a more personal perspective, is about the challenges that a lot of people have been experiencing, trying to earn money to satisfy their basic needs, to meet their basic needs. A lot of people struggle to feed their family. And many of us suffer from tremendous challenges. And of course, with a lot of people on the street that we see, homeless people on the street every day, struggling as well. And so how do we go about solving these issues? Now, you can look at this from many different perspectives, but here at NLG, we offer a solution, and that is to have and to practice these following elements. So first of all, we need to have genuine moral values, and this is when it comes to each and everyone's personal development. This is not something that we have to ask of people. This is something that we do for ourselves. And if each and every one of us as an individual can do this, then imagine that we all have this awareness in our society. So genuine moral values, this is something to really prioritize. And I understand that many of us believe that we're very familiar with these moral values, but on a more realistic side, we need to take a step back and ask ourselves, why is it that we still do things to hurt each other, even when those behaviors don't reflect the principles of morality? So, and you can give tons and tons of reason as to why I try to justify that. But the point is just, why are we still doing those things? Why don't we have that awareness of our community, of moral values, of what to do and what not to do? So the point is that when we prioritize moral values, and we'll dig a little bit deeper into this, of course, but when you prioritize it, when you keep that in mind, when it's a part of you that is so conscious and is continuous, then it also drives your behaviors to be, in certain ways. And so that's why the first thing when you come into NLG is that we recommend that you keep your moral values at heart and you prioritize it in everything that you do. And then paired with it is, of course, the 5 forms of love. Now, before you come into NLG, doesn't matter what you've done, doesn't matter what you've been doing beforehand. But once you come in, you realize these principles, you realize the necessity to practice love and morality, then you are encouraged to adapt more loving behaviors that matches with the loving nature of NLG. If you've been practicing love, if you know exactly what it is when you're trying to apply it to everyone in your life, then that is excellent. So when you come into NLG, you will get a lot of benefits out of it very quickly because you really understand and you actually practice it. Now, but if you haven't showed proper love as part of this process, then of course that's something that we encourage you to work on. And when you come into NLG, these are not just any simple principles to have, but these are the core of NLG. Okay, so this is basically the key of how you can be successful with this method. And at level 1, if you realize this sooner, it will help you to achieve your goals much quicker and better. It's about building that great foundation where you understand love and morality, not just from an abstract perspective, but more so from a practice-based perspective, as I've said, that NLG is a practice-based method. So this is about knowing what love and morality really looks like in all of the situations that you face in your everyday life. So we, of course, when we talk about morality, that's quite straightforward. But then we talk about the 5 forms of love. And so the 5 forms of love that we mention here at NLG is basically, first of all, is self-love. Second is is love for family. Third is love for humanity. Third is love for country. Fourth is love for humankind. And then fifth is love for all living things. Now you see that we deliberately put these 5 forms in this particular sequence, and it means that you should go from the first one, and then you work your way through developing and refining your love for the respective subject, I guess. And the first question that many people ask is that, how come self-love is the first form of love that we need to work on? Like, shouldn't that be the last one? Because, like, shouldn't we put others first? And wouldn't self-love means that we're selfish? But let me just, ask you about this so that you can think about this very carefully. Is that the reason why we put self-love first is that how would you support other people when you're not in a state that is fit to do that? When you're not fit mentally, physically, financially. So with all of these boxes to tick, and you couldn't tick any, then how would you go about helping other people when you don't have any of that, when you haven't experienced what it's like? Then how would you go out and really help other people? For example, you might say, well, I absolutely love my family and I really want to take care of my family. But if you don't take care of yourself and you're not in a state where you're healthy and you're capable to help your family, then all of the things that you want to do for them remain in theory, so it remains in ideas. You can't really put them into practice. So when we talk about self-love, it doesn't mean being selfish. In fact, it is the things that we do for ourselves that we truly love ourselves, and we understand it from an energy perspective. It's not that I would only do this for me and then call that self-love. No, we'll explain to you from an energy perspective so that you know exactly what to do in terms of self-love when it comes to using this energy to enable that. And a lot of the time, maybe we do take care of ourselves, meaning, for example, you've been eating, healthy diet and, just basically taking care of yourself in the best way possible. But a lot of the time, for many of us, it's only happen when we're conscious of that idea. Sometimes if something happened, if you're not happy with something, or if something, say if something upsets you, or etc., then in those moments, a lot of the time we are, all of a sudden we're not conscious anymore of what to do to take care of ourselves, because our mind has been occupied with these other things, these other issues that we're trying to deal with. So at level 1, we suggest that you work on the first 2 forms of love, which are self-love and love for family. And then as you go on to level 2, then you work on the next one, which is love for country. And then from level 3 onwards, your goal will be the last 2 forms of love, while you maintain the others, so that as you go, you continue to learn about and you continue to express your love for these 5 forms of love. And as you get to a higher class level, of course, you need to, extend this love, refine it, and just make it better and better as you go. Now, when you are practicing love, and particularly self-love, what you're doing is that, I'm talking about energy perspective here, is that, let's say when something happens that is not something that you expect, but if you understand about self-love, then you understand that it's not worth it to get angry, to get upset. And so when you understand that, okay, these things happen and I don't like it, it's not something that I expect, then learn to still keep your composure, because that is self-love. Because you understand that when you stay in a calm state, then you're basically, that's equivalent to being in the frequency that we called +1 - 1. It's very much like when your heart rate's resting at 60 to 80 beats per minute. So that's a very calm. That's the normal rate. And when you're in this frequency that we call the +1 - 1 frequency, that's when you can connect and you can receive this energy most effectively. And what happened when you receive this energy? It supports the cells in your body. Okay, now the cells in your body need this energy to thrive, to develop, to support you in many, many different ways, like oxygen, basically. And once you understand that you need to go through all those little steps in order for the cells in your body to receive this energy most effectively, then of course you will voluntarily prioritize and you maximize that practice of self-love, and of course the practice of NLG formula. Because now you understand that, okay, part of self-love is when I remain calm. Because when I remain calm in all situations, I'm basically in the frequency to connect to this energy source. So it doesn't matter if the things that happen to me is positive or negative. I'm always in a state to connect to this energy, that I can utilize it in ways that I've been instructed to utilize it. So that is part of self-love. So it is, of course, beyond the usual things of having good diet and have enough sleep and things like that. Those things are very important as well. But from an energy perspective, then now you know what we mean by self-love when it comes to understanding the cells in your body as well. And of course, love for family, after you finish level 1, will give you the formulas. And with the formulas of level 1, not only that you can support yourself using this energy to support and improve your health, but also you can use it to support your family members. Now, when you do that, you'll find that you can have a way to connect to your family better by helping them. And when you're a better version of yourself, as well as have the ability to support your loved ones, then you and this has been experienced by many family when they come into energy, is that they find better connection to be with each other and to be happier. Now, of course, as you get to level 3, and we're staying on the topic of love, is that when you get to level 3, Mr. Lee will talk to you more about sort of more in-depth explanation from an energy perspective of attractions and of karma. But at this level, I would just say that whatever it is that you do, of course, there consequences, their outcomes, whether they're good or bad. It depends on how you respond to the world around you, how you respond to things and other people. Now, if you want to have good things, if you want to meet really excellent people and have great opportunity in your life, then what do you need to do? Well, the answer is that you really need to draw yourself back to love and morality. You need to be the one who show kindness first. And you start with yourself, then you start with, and then you move on to your family, showing that love to your family. And, because they're ones who are very close to you. And then you extend that further as you go. Because if you decide to give love, then of course later on you receive a lot of very similar quality, very similar experiences. Whereas if you're giving out negativity, then that's the exact things that you will attract later on, that you will continue to experience. And sometimes you interpret things that you do to have very little consequences, or that the things that you do, even though they affect other people, you interpret them to be very insignificant. But of course, what goes around comes around, and perhaps you have to deal with the consequences a lot more than you think. So in terms of energy, that's very much the same when it comes to that energy attraction. And the outer space civilization will be the one who guides us throughout this journey of self-enhancement. They're very, very precise and they're very fair. And so that's why we suggest that the best way to go about this is to practice love, to understand love. And that's why Mr. Lei often say that we cannot cheat, we cannot get away with things that we do. We always need to be responsible for the consequences. So it basically means that what you say, what you do for the most part, really it's your choice. You can choose how you say it and you can choose how you do it. So, and now that you understand that it's totally your choice, but then the choices that you make, of course, have consequences, there are outcomes. So basically just be very understanding, very loving in the ways that you respond to things. So let me just give you an example. Say, of course, you can't control whether today is a rainy or if it's a sunny day. And that's the same with many things that happen around us, because it involves other people. It involves many different things. And so a lot of the time it's out of our reach. It's not something that we expect, but it happened anyway. So let's say that happened. Okay, so let's say it's a rainy day. Now, you can't really change that. But what you can change is your perspective of how you look at it. So it's about your thoughts, behaviors. There's something that you learn to regulate. And so say if it's a rainy day, are you going to be very upset about that and you just sit there and you're very stressed about your plans being cancelled and not being able to do anything because of this weather? Because when you encounter something that's out of your control, what you can change is the ways that you look at it. So it draws back to that understanding the 5 forms of love and morality, and keep that in mind. So you understand the pros and cons of being upset, meaning that you're no longer in that frequency that you can connect. Whereas if you continue to express your love and morality and composure, then you stay in that frequency. And so when something happened and you're on the verge of basically getting really emotional and really upsetting, then just ask yourself that if I let my emotions get the better of me, then is that self-love? Okay, so just be more conscious of that. And for many of us, when we get upset, a lot of the time, it's not just ourselves that we're hurting, but we sometimes do things and say things that are pretty horrible as well to the people around us, for example, a family. So when you do that, then is that self-love? And is that love for family? Because clearly that is not self-love, because you're putting yourself in a situation where you can be very easily, sort of not precisely connecting to the energy source that you can utilize. And when you say hurtful things to your family, then that's not love of family either. So there are of course consequences of the actions that you choose, and when it comes to practicing energy, the core of it is love and morality. That's how you connect. And if you don't follow the instructions, if you don't follow those principles, then of course you don't get to connect properly. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about the +1 -1 frequency, as I've mentioned it several times now. So you can read on the screen as I explain this to you. So basically, as I've mentioned, the +1 -1 frequency, you could think about this is the cell's favorite frequency. So the cells in your body. Okay, so this frequency is their favorite frequency, because what happened is the cells get to connect. They get to receive this energy source from outer space civilization when you can regulate yourself into this frequency that we call the +1 -1. What that means simply is that you can practice energy formulas most effectively when you put yourself into this frequency. Now, if you are not in the +1 -1 frequency, you can sit there for hours and hours. You can try to practice for 5 minutes and 30 seconds as instructed, but you won't get 100% of the energy. You won't get that effect that you're looking for, because your connection, in other words, your frequency, it's far from +1 -1. Okay, now the +1 -1 frequency is a concept, of course, that can be formed through our flow of thoughts. So our state of self-regulation is something that you can train yourself to do through the practice of the 5 forms of love and moral values. When you understand love and moral values, then that's when you can actually be, it's easier for you to regulate yourself in the +1 -1 frequency. And the good news is, everyone, we're all capable of doing this. So we're all capable of putting ourselves in the +1 -1 frequency if we really try to do that, if we train ourselves to do that. And the reason why we can get into this frequency through love is because the state of love equals the harmony and composure and peace that we're looking for in order for us to utilize this energy source. And if you haven't been practicing love, if you don't really care about it before you come into energy, even if you then come into energy and receive the energy activation, and then you decide that you don't want to practice love and morality at all, then the outcome will be very limited. But the moment where you realize and then you regulate yourself according to this principle, then you can still get energy, because it's a very fair space for everyone to be able to connect to this energy once you've changed for the better, and once you decide that love and morality is the way to go. Now, it is not to say, even though, yes, the +1 -1 frequency is very important, it is not to say that we can't be angry or upset, okay, or excited. It doesn't mean that we can't have any emotions. Of course, emotions is a part of us, and that's how we deal with life. That's how we experience. That's part of our experience as a species. So let's say that before, if you're upset, you can do that for days and days without any solution. But then now that you learn energy, you understand the benefit of this frequency and the benefit of this energy. So it is easier for you to regulate yourself to be in the right frequency to connect. And so for that, you learn to maintain your composure more effectively. Now, what I'd like for you to really think about is that in a day, other than when you're asleep, of course, how many hours can you maintain yourself in the +1 -1 frequency? Now that we've talked about it and you understand what it is, how many hours can you do that? Let's say if we put out a, well, let's say for example today, we have that technical issue at the start that results in our class being 45 minutes late. So how are you reacting to that experience? Are you still, okay, maybe they're working it out and I'm still here waiting, or are you really upset about that? Now, we're not here to judge you whether, how you respond to that experience, but now that you learn about the benefits of being loving and of this frequency, then I hope that whatever experience that you have, whatever things that come your way, that you can truly express yourself in a loving, in a calm, and understanding manner. Because it's very easy to say that, I'm fine and I'm a very calm person when nothing really happened to you. But if something unexpected happened, then that could change that. Right? So I suggest that from now on, when you see someone being mean to you, when something happened to you, really try to take that as a lesson and try to not repeat that, because we've been in the same situations over and over again. And it's time that we really learn from that and move on so that we can make a better version of ourselves. Now, talking about the necessity for us to practice this formula very, very well, I like to use this example to explain this further. So we know that the incubation period for a chicken egg is around 21 days. Now, same thing for when you practice NLG. Of course, you need to get to a certain point to feel those changes. And for many of you, it may be that when you are activated. Okay, so if the mother hen doesn't give her full 21 days, of course, then the egg cannot hatch into a chick. And that points to the consistency that you need to have with your practice. It means that you need to practice it every single day. Now, it's not just the formulas, which, the formula is very important as well. When you practice the formulas, it should be on a daily basis, but also when you practice love and morality, it should be consistent. And that's why Mr. Lay always say that you need to practice accurately, adequately, and consistently. So, for example, with the formulas that we give you, if the instructions say that you should open your eyes while you practice, please do that, okay? And if you look at the practice duration, and is it 5 minutes and 30 seconds, please do that. Don't practice any longer, don't practice any less than that, because these formulas has been standardized, has been practiced by many, many NLG participants, and they've reported very effective, amazing outcomes. Now, if you don't achieve the outcomes that you look for, chances are, go back to the core of NLG, which is your practice of love and morality. Is about that +1 -1 frequency, and it's about that consistency in the way that you practice, in the way that you understand the formulas, and in the way that you practice the principles of love and morality as well. Now, if you ask, okay, so in the formulas, I can see that we practice it for 5 minutes and 30 seconds. So, why is it that it's 5 minutes and 30 seconds? Well, that's a question that I guess that you can, put up to Mr. Lay, because he's studied this, this method, very precisely. And that's the way that he's standardized the formulas. It's basically like asking why this phone operates on iOS and then the other phones operate on Android. Like, why is it a MacBook? Why is it I don't know, like what other type of computer or technology? Because that's how they've been programmed. And that's just how you familiarize yourself with how to use those technology. And it's the same thing when you try to understand this method of NLG. Okay, so I guess I will talk a little bit more in terms of this topic, so that you understand the necessity for us to practice the formulas. And so basically this comparison is for you to really understand, and this is it's very easy for us to say that I will do it, or I will practice the formula, but the thing is, we're not going to be there to supervise you on your practice, and we're of course not going to judge you on what you would do with this practice. It really is your choice, and it's really your journey of self-development, self-enhancement, and is all about that awareness that you built. Okay, so there's no pressure there for you to practice, but we present you with this information so that you understand how to go about practicing NLG and try to get the most out of it. Okay, so now I think I will go through I'll go through the brain cell activation with you. So as I've mentioned earlier, we will have, generally our class will be divided into 3 parts. So there's the content, and then energy activation, and then we will have explanations on formulas, okay? So now let's move on to the activation. Now, activation is something that you've got to receive in order for you to utilize the energy frequency of your class level. You can't just come in and listen to the content and then magically you can use this energy source. It doesn't work that way. And so that's why when you rewatch an old video of a class, you can certainly watch it to revise the content, but you cannot receive the energy activation from those previous video. You have to attend a live class in order, because that's when you have an instructor actually sitting in front of the screen transmitting that activation to you, or else there will be no one there to activate you. And so it's really, really important that you don't miss out on any of the activation. Okay, so generally level 1 has 2 activations. So 1 activation today and then 1 activation tomorrow. You're required to receive both activations in order to be considered as fully complete level 1. And remember that these 2 activations, they're very different. These 2 activations for level 1's very, very different. So today we will do brain cell activation, and then tomorrow we'll do stem cells activation. Okay. Now, if you're new here, sorry, I'll just say this beforehand so that everything is very clear. So if you've already completed level 1 and you're still in level 1 and you're here to revise, to retake this class, that's fine. You can receive this activation. And of course, if you're new here to NLG, this is your first time taking an NLG class, then of course you can receive this activation. This is for you. But if you're from level 2, 3, 4, or 5, and you're just here to listen to the content, then please do not receive this activation, because this activation is for people who are still in level 1, people who are new to NLG, and this is the first time doing level 1 NLG. Okay, so I will play a demonstration video so that we know exactly what to do. So this is how you will receive this activation from me, okay? Because I'm your instructor, so I will also activate your brain cell today according to the techniques of NLG. So this is how you will receive the activation, okay? So basically, you visualize energy going from my forehead, going into your brain, and then you keep it at that, okay? So just visualize energy coming in like that, and you keep it at your brain. I'll just do it one more time. Okay, so this is the demonstration video on how to receive this energy. I hope that's very clear. Okay, so basically, I will close my eyes, okay, throughout this brain cell activation. I will close my eyes. What you do is you open your eyes, you look at my forehead, and then you visualize energy going from my forehead into your brain continuously. So it's going into your brain continuously, like the demonstration video that I showed you just now, until I tell you that time is up. Okay, so for that 1 minute, and this activation lasts for 1 minute and 30 seconds. So for 1 minute and 30 seconds, keep receiving that energy into your brain. Okay. Okay, so now I will set a timer. So this is level 1 brain cell activation. And this is for level 1 participant. Okay, those who are in higher classes, for example, level 2, 3, 4, and 5, please look away now. And then later on, after 1 minute and 30 seconds, you can come back and listen to the content if you're interested. But this is solely for level 1 participants. Okay. All right. So 1 minute and 30 seconds of brain cells activation, and we will start now, everyone. Okay, so we have completed the brain cell activation. So now what I'd like to do is we will practice this brain cell activation formula together, everyone. Okay, so I'll just show you, and of course we will only practice this formula today, prior to day 2. And then once we start with day 2 tomorrow, then we'll no longer practice this formula. So I'll put the formula on the screen now so that you can see, and we'll go through them together. I'll explain them, and then we'll practice them together. with the instruction audio that I will play for you as well. And so this is basically the first formula for you to practice just within today, you know, after this day one, just so you can basically it's give you a taste of what this energy is like, how to channel this energy, and you know, perhaps for many of you, you will feel that energy coming in for the first time. So, okay, so we'll go through this formula. And by the way, if any of you feel like you have a mild headache after I activate your brain cell, that's okay. You know, that's going to get much better as you continue to practice and as you learn energy. That means that, you know, that energy comes in and it's really you know, has an impact on your brain cell and is actually doing its job. Okay, so no worries, everyone. Okay, so for this, basically, I'll walk you through so that you understand how to actually practice an energy formula. So you can see here that we divide them into different steps. Okay, so first of all, we have step one. And this basically for all of the steps here, you go, we'll go through them in our head. So whenever you practice, you will recite them silently in your head. You do not need to say them out loud. Okay. And so step one, think of this as a command. Okay, this is the first, this is like when you put in a request, it needs to be precise, it needs to be succinct, and it needs to be exactly what you're looking for. So step one, in your head, you will recite silently once, receive cosmic divine light, new era. Sorry, everyone. This just so receive cosmic divine light, new era, energy level 1 frequency band, brain cell activation frequency. And then after you say that in your head, you move on to step 2, receive energy into the brain. So basically you're still reading out in your head, okay? Just so you understand the step, you understand the command, what to do. Receive energy into the brain. So what that means is that you visualize energy from outer space entering the brain, okay? And then receive first time, receive second time, receive third time. And of course, you will leave 3 to 5 seconds each time in between each time that you receive. Now, some people ask, how do I visualize energy from outer space entering my brain? Like what sort of color, shape, or whatever? Don't think about it as having shape or colors. Like that's not something to worry about. Just try to visualize that as something, and like, as in you don't need to visualize what space look like, but it's more so that you give out a command, right, to receive energy from outer space entering the brain. And that's the ways in which that you visualize it. That's the way that you're receiving it, instead of trying to you know, be too detailed about colors, about shape, about what it looks like exactly. Okay, that is not really important. What important is that you know that this energy is from outer space and that we're channeling it from there to utilize it for ourselves. So after you're done with step 2, then step 3, send energy from the brain into the ERC. So from the brain here into the ERC. Now the ERC, that is short for Energy Reception Center. And basically that is the part, well, that is the back of your neck, basically, okay? So it is the back of your neck. That is the ERC. That's what we call it. And when you send energy from the brain into the ERC, okay, it doesn't mean that it lights up like a sun like this. This is just for you to visualize that, you know, energy going from the brain into the ERC. That's where it goes, okay? So basically this just points to the to where the ERC lies. Okay, so this ERC at the back of your neck. So send first time, and then you give it 3 to 5 seconds. Then you say send second time, 3 to 5 seconds in between, and then send third time. And of course, all of this, you recite them silently in your head. You don't say them out loud. And then step 4, continuously direct energy into the brain and transmit it into the ERC. So basically step 4 is the step that you would devote the remaining time of your practice time to it, because that's when you continuously direct that energy. Okay, so once you receive, done, when you send and you finish with that, then you continuously direct that energy and keep it going like that. So you let the warmth of energy spreads on its own until alarm rings. Now, when you practice any energy formulas, we always have a note down here. Please read it. And we also put here the practice duration according to your age. So for example, with young children from 8 to 12 years old, they will practice this formula for 2 minutes and 30 seconds. For children from 13 to 18 years old, they will practice this for 3 minutes and 30 seconds. And then for children above 18 years old, well, sorry, not children, for people above 18 years old, you practice this for 5 minutes and 30 seconds. So I assume that for the majority of people here today attending this class, you are above 18 years old. So you will be, and I will set my timer to 5 minutes and 30 seconds for you to practice this formula together. And then please note that when you practice this formula, you keep your eyes open and you direct energy accordingly. Okay, so now let's practice this formula together, everyone. For 5 minutes and 30 seconds, I will play a instructional audio for you, and I will also leave this formula on the screen. And what I'll do is I'll turn off my video so that you see this formula very clearly. Okay. Okay, I'll just set my timer. All right, so now I'll play you the instructional video. Sorry, not video, audio, and then we'll practice. And when I play this, please practice according to this audio. Okay, just so that when you follow this audio, you know exactly of the pace of how to go about practicing an energy formula. Okay, so let's start. This is practice session for brain cell activation frequency. Timer 5 minutes and 30 seconds for participant above 18 years old. Step 1. Recite silently once. Receive Cosmic Divilite New Era NOG Level 1 frequency band. Brain cell activation frequency. Step 2. Receive energy into the brain. Receive first time. Receive second time. Receive third time. Step 3. Send energy from the brain into the ERC. Send first time. Send second time. Send third time. Step 4. Continuously direct energy into the brain and transmit it into the ERC. Let the warmth of energy spread on its own until alarm rings. Okay, everyone. Thank you very much for participating in that practice session of the brain cell activation frequency. And thank you for participating in today's class. Before we wrap this up, I do have to share with you the QR code so that you can ask question if you need to, because I understand that we're running out of time now and we're actually 45 minutes late today. I'm sorry about that, but I'll just share with you the QR codes here so that if you have any question, then you can actually ask us. And also we will post the brain cell activation frequency formula on these Telegram groups here for you to practice. And so remember that with this formula that we'll give you today, you will only have one day to practice it, because as I said, it's only, the purpose of it is that it gives you a taste of what it's like to channel this energy. And then after that, as we participate in day 2 of level 1, which is tomorrow, then we will no longer practice this formula. So it's a really good thing for you to, get to know about, get to know energy formulas and, practice this. Now, I do have notes for you regarding this formula. Okay, so what happened when you practice that formula is that you can practice it anywhere from 1 to 3 times on your own. So we've already practiced it once in class, but then when you practice by yourself, you can practice it from 1 to 3 times more, and you can practice it consecutively or with a few hours apart. Otherwise, fine. So when you practice it, try to sit somewhere that you feel calm, you feel focused. And if you are distracted for more than 30 seconds, out of the 5 minutes and 30 seconds, please start again. Okay, just discard that session and start again. Don't sit right in front of a fan or an aircon, because you might not feel the warmth from energy. If you're sitting in front of a fan. And because it's 5 minutes and 30 seconds and you open your eyes while you practice, so of course you can blink. Okay, and if during your practice, if you cough or if you sneeze, that's okay. You don't need to discard that session, because things like that happen and you can just continue on. For participants who are currently unwell, and if you have a condition that you need to lie down, then you can still practice lying down, okay, while you lie down. So basically you can be in a position, whatever that's comfortable for you and that is appropriate for your health condition. And as I've said early on, when you receive these brain cell activation, if you feel that your forehead is somewhat tense, there's a techniques that can help you with that. So basically what you do is you breathe in for 3 seconds with your nose, and then you breathe out for 6 seconds with your mouth, and you do that 3 times. Now, same thing after practicing this formula just now. If you feel tense in your forehead, that's something that you can do. Okay, and I think that we are running out of time now. So just to summarize today's content, so basically today we have an introductions of energy, that it is a practice-based method and it helps you to flourish in all aspects of life. It teaches you about love and morality, the importance of this principle and how to practice them, and how to motivate yourself to be in a state where you'll be more willing to understand, to explore, and to practice these principles. And we, of course, talked about the benefits of regulating yourself according to the +1 - 1 frequency. It is a frequency to really refine on a daily basis. This frequency is embedded in your everyday practice of the 5 forms of love and moral qualities through the way that you treat each other, through the ways that you treat yourself. So it is important to build a strong understanding of these principles at this foundation level, so that you, when you move on to a higher class level, that you can enable even greater things. So thank you everyone for participating. On behalf of all participants today, I'd like to thank our energy founder, Mr. Lei. A huge thanks to those working tirelessly to make this program work, to fix the technical issue at the start of today's class. Thank you very much. And thank you everyone. As usual, always very patient, very understanding and loving. So I'll see you tomorrow in day 2 of level 1 English. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and make sure that you scan the QR code that I gave you just now, because I will post the formulas that we practiced today on there, as well as information about the +1 -1 frequency and the 5 forms of love for your revision. Okay, so thank you everyone, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you. Bye-bye.